Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first week of BMI 598. Now, before we start, let's go over the unit objectives for this week. Upon completing this module, you should be able to do the following. 1. Diagram the business lifecycle, innovation stage, and venture creation process. 2. Define market segmentation, total addressable market, which we will refer to as TAM, and beachhead market. 3. Calculate beachhead TAM and create a beachhead persona for a biomedical venture. So, what's the difference between entrepreneurship and venture creation? Let's take a look at the root of the word entrepreneur. According to the Oxford Dictionary, an entrepreneur is a person who sets up a business or businesses taking on financial risks in hope of profit. And entrepreneurship is defined as the activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on financial risks in hope of profit. It makes sense that we think of entrepreneurship as an individual pursuit, one in which the founder sets up the business, takes on the financial risks, as well as the entrepreneur myths around perpetuating the perception of those people that allegedly change the world single-handedly. A perfect example would be Mark Zuckerberg hacking out the Facebook code in his dorm room alone over a long weekend. Don't get me wrong, I believe all of you have the potential to change the world, but you won't do it alone, especially if you're creating a biomedical venture. And by the way, Mark Zuckerberg didn't do it alone either. This is why we're going to focus on venture creation instead of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. It's important that everyone involved understands that this is a team sport. And, as you'll see as we progress through this course, what we're doing here is more like engineering the design of a new business and its products. Let's take a look. Similarly, venture is defined as a risky or daring journey or undertaking, and creation as the action or process of bringing something into existence. Accordingly, we'll define venture creation as a risky undertaking to bring something into existence. Now, it may seem like semantics, but notice the omission of the statement about taking on financial risks in hope of profit. This is intentional. Biomedical startup costs range from about $2 million to $10 million. It would be exceptionally rare that anyone would be able to self-fund a biomedical venture or round up that money from their friends and family. Therefore, venture creation is a different model for creating new ventures, one that separates the act of setting up the business from taking on the financial risks. Our focus for this venture creation course then goes beyond just setting up the business. It carries through to understanding the process of securing capital to fund these ventures. Small and medium enterprises, or SMEs, are just that, small and medium businesses. These are types of businesses that are often started and ran by an individual or sole proprietor. They are often self-funded or funded from capital secured from friends, family, bank loans, or small business grants, which is usually fine since SMEs typically require less capital to start. SMEs are generally limited to serving local markets and therefore usually have a limited growth rate and market, as illustrated in the solid line in Figure 1.1. By contrast, an innovation-driven enterprise, or IDE, targets much larger, non-local markets. These are typically created by a team rather than an individual entrepreneur, and they generally have the potential for exponential growth, as illustrated in the dashed line in Figure 1.1. Our focus for this course is creating fundable, innovation-driven ventures. These graphs differentiate between the growth models for SMEs and IDEs. As you can see, the SME follows a linear growth pattern, while the IDE depicts an exponential growth pattern when we factor in the investment needed to kickstart the venture. We'll organize biomedical ventures into 8 different categories: medical devices, direct-to-consumer devices or wellness devices, digital health, healthcare IT, diagnostics, drug delivery, pharmaceuticals, and biotechnologies. We'll cover topics relevant to all 8 categories. However, our primary focus will be on direct-to-consumer devices and applications, secondarily on medical devices. We've prioritized it this way for 2 reasons. First, the market needs and capital for direct-to-consumer device applications are expected to grow substantially over the next 3 to 4 years. Second, we have limited time in this short course to cover regulatory requirements and the exemptions for direct-to-consumer devices and applications, and it's a better fit for our time constraints. Accordingly, our focus for this course is creating innovation-driven biomedical ventures. Remember, we're focused on venture creation, and we've chosen to separate the function of starting the business from funding the business. Nonetheless, your venture will need capital to make it through the innovation, incubation, and acceleration stages until it becomes cash flow positive. While it might be possible for you to fund or scrape together some pre-seed funding from friends and family to make it through the innovation stage, by the time your biomedical venture is ready for incubation, you're probably going to need an outside investment to seed the company. Biomedical ventures have historically been very difficult to capitalize in the early stages. As we've mentioned, they typically need $2 million to $10 million to get through the incubation stage, which is much more than most other early stage ventures. They can take 10 to 15 years or longer to actually reach the market, which means becoming cash flow positive will take even longer. If you're an investor, that means that you could be waiting 15 to 20 years to see a return on your investment. Most venture capitalists and angel investors are seeking returns in the 3 to 5 year range, if not even earlier. And finally, most medical device business models do not provide the type of recurring revenue that many investors prefer. So, if your biomedical venture is placed alongside hundreds of other early stage investment opportunities that need less capital, are expected to return capital to their investors much sooner, and have a more attractive business model, what are your options? Well, unlike most other businesses, many biomedical ventures will have a significant potential to positively affect health, wellness, and well-being for many people. So, to overcome the hurdles of capitalizing a biomedical venture, consider focusing on the impact and building an impact venture. So what is an impact venture? To understand impact ventures, we first need to understand a bit about impact investing. GIIN, or the Global Impact Investing Network, defines impact investing as investments made into companies, organizations, and funds with the intention to generate a measurable, beneficial, social or environmental impact alongside or in lieu of a financial return. Now, because our focus is on biomedical, we'll define biomedical impact ventures as companies, organizations, and funds with the intention to generate a measurable, beneficial impact in health, wellness, and well-being alongside or in lieu of a financial return, generally measured through as improvement in patient population outcomes, an increase in access to care, or a reduction in cost. Our focus in this course is to create fundable, innovation-driven, direct-to-consumer biomedical impact ventures. The innovation stage is the first stage of the business life cycle. So right here we have Sean's Bar in Athlone, Ireland. Please forgive my horrendous attempt to do an Irish accent. At 1,117 years old, it's one of the oldest known businesses in the world that is still operational. This business, like every other, follows the 5 stages of the business life cycle. As we saw earlier, small and medium enterprises, or SMEs, and innovation-driven enterprises, or IDEs, each take a slightly different path through these early stages of innovation, incubation, and acceleration. And of course, not every venture will spend centuries as a mature company. Some pass much sooner through the decline stage. We won't cover the late stages of maturity and decline in this course. Our focus is on the early stages and more specifically, the innovation stage. In fact, most ventures don't make it beyond the innovation stage. Keep this in mind throughout the course, your entrepreneurial endeavors, and even through other career paths you might pursue. While there are many useful business insights in our books, published online and delivered to our inbox, it's important to understand that context is critical. What may work in mature businesses may not work in the innovation stage of a venture. This has countless implications as you and your early stage venture may be mentored, advised, or evaluated by an expert from a mature company. While his or her credentials and experience may be intimidating, don't be so certain that is entirely applicable to the stage of your venture. Of course, it doesn't automatically mean they're wrong either. Okay, so now we're done with background and we're going on to do a quick overview of the 6 stages or themes within the innovation process. Keep in mind some of these steps are not in numerical order. 1. Who is the customer? 2. What does the venture do for the customer? 3. How do customers acquire the product and how does the venture acquire customers? 4. How does the venture make money? 6. How is the product designed and built? 7. How does the venture scale within the stages or themes? Keep in mind, these stages, steps, and themes may overlap and intersect. Every business is unique, so it's impossible to create a precise recipe before innovation and venture creation. This is more like a guidebook because you will need to figure a lot of this out on your own. But that creativity and problem solving is actually the fun part. Next, we'll take a look at venture creation. Once you've completed the 6 stages and 24 steps of the innovation process, you'll move into the 6 steps of the venture creation process. These are 1. Who are the venture stakeholders and shareholders? 2. Who is involved in the venture and how are they engaged? 3. Who is doing what? Defining roles and responsibilities. 4. Who is getting paid and how much? Defining participation and compensation. 5. Turning a project into a new venture, understanding entity formation documents. And 6. Who is capitalizing the venture and how? That's it. It's that simple. Now, let's get started with steps 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9 of the innovation process. The following slides contain videos that will walk you through the venture creation process. Just click the link in the slides to watch the video. There are 9 videos total. First one, we have getting started. Next, we have market segmentation. After that, we have selecting a beachhead. Following is building a end user profile. Step 4 is calculating a beachhead TAM. Step 5 is profiling the beachhead persona. And step 9, which is identifying your next 10 customers. Thank you.